This year, the NBA MVP race came down to a decision that shocked the basketball world. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the 2023 NBA MVP. But here's the real question. How did this happen? Was SGA's spectacular season enough to propel him past Nikola Jokic, the dominant force of the past 2 MVP seasons? Sure, SGA's numbers were outstanding, but did Jokic's even better stats just get overshadowed by something much bigger than numbers? Was it simply time for a change in the MVP narrative? Here's the story behind SGA's MVP win, why Jokic's dominance didn't secure his 3rd straight title, and what this means for the future of the NBA. Buckle up, because this is about to get interesting. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander didn't just have a good year, he had a historic season.
Here's Gilgeous-Alexander, they're the leading scorer in the NBA this year. Through the contact.
The Thunder's leader led the entire league in scoring, putting up a jaw-dropping 30.5 points per game. But that's just scratching the surface. This wasn't just about SGA's individual numbers. His efficiency was through the roof, and his ability to lead a young, mostly unproven Oklahoma City Thunder team to the best record in the NBA was a huge factor. To put it simply, this wasn't just an MVP-worthy season, it was an MVP-changing season. On top of his scoring title, SGA achieved a historic milestone, finishing 2nd in multiple key metrics like player efficiency rating, PER, box plus minus, BPM, and value over replacement player, VORP. For a player to finish near the top of all these metrics while leading a team of unknowns to the best record in the league, that's something extraordinary. Think about it. Not only did he take over on offense, but his playmaking ability, his defense, and his leadership were undeniable. Even though the Thunder might not have had the same star power as some other teams, SGA was able to elevate everyone around him.
And walks it off in OKC! Kissing the Blazers goodnight!
Making this season one of the most remarkable in recent memory. But it wasn't just his stats or his leadership that caught the voters' eyes. It was also the narrative. SGA represented something new. The MVP race was beginning to feel a little repetitive. Jokic had won twice in a row. Was it time for a fresh story to unfold? And SGA had just the right story to capture the imaginations of fans and voters alike.
That one just got cheered. SGA with Looney. Pulls up. And another bucket for SGA right over the top of the outstretched arm. He's got the...
Now, let's talk about Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, the man who had just posted one of the best statistical seasons in NBA history. The reality is, Jokic's numbers were better than ever. He posted an unbelievable PER and a BPM that would leave any NBA player green with envy. And let's not forget, he led the Nuggets to a top 4 finish in the West, all while dealing with injuries and inconsistent play from his supporting cast. Jokic also managed to finish top 3 in 4 major categories.
Those type of possessions and fast breaks that Denver has to have. Here's one.
Points, rebounds, assists, and steals. He was the first player in NBA history to finish top 3 in all 4 of those stats. That's right, no player had ever even cracked the top 10 in all 4 of those categories before. Yet Jokic did it, and not by a small margin.
They've turned it over 4 times here in the first. Jokic with Caruso. Jokic flips it up and in.
He did it with ease. Jokic didn't just play well, he dominated. He finished with the 2nd highest BPM in NBA history and set the 4th highest PER ever. He posted a top 10 all-time performance that will be remembered as one of the greatest individual seasons the NBA has ever seen. But despite all that, Jokic still didn't win the MVP. How could that happen? How could a player who achieved all-time greatness in a single season still fall short of a 3rd consecutive MVP? While Jokic was busy rewriting history with his individual brilliance, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's team, Oklahoma City Thunder, was on a different level. And when you look at the Thunder's success, it's clear that the MVP wasn't just about SGA's scoring, it was about the entire team. The Thunder had depth, something that the Nuggets simply didn't. Oklahoma City finished with 6 players ranked in the top 70 for BPM and VORP. Yes, 6 players. And remember, those 6 players were ranked in the top 70 for both of these critical metrics, a testament to the team-first mentality in Oklahoma City. Compare that to the Nuggets, who had only 1 player in the top 70, Nikola Jokic, of course. So while Jokic's stats were mind-boggling, the Nuggets' success was still heavily dependent on him. Take him out of the lineup and the Nuggets would have been lucky to win 25 games. But what about the Thunder? If you took SGA out of the lineup, the Thunder would still have been a 50-plus win team. Why? Because the Thunder's roster is filled with talent. young, hungry players who all played their roles perfectly. It wasn't just about one guy doing all the work, it was about team chemistry, coaching, and a roster full of players who could step up when needed. And then, of course, we have the playoffs. SGA's and Jokic's performances in the postseason would be key to the narrative as well. In the first round of the playoffs, SGA's on-off court splits showed that his impact wasn't as dominant as many expected. The Thunder were actually only 1.7 points better with SGA on the floor than when he was off. That doesn't sound too impressive, right? On the other hand, Nikola Jokic was a completely different story. When Jokic was on the floor for the Nuggets, they were 17 points better per 100 possessions, and he contributed 10.4 points per 100 possessions offensively. On top of that, he was 6.6 points better defensively, showcasing his ability to elevate the Nuggets defense in a way that SGA just couldn't do with his Thunder squad. So, if you're looking strictly at the impact of these two players in the playoffs, Jokic was undeniably the better performer. But, as we've already seen, the playoff performance isn't the full story. This MVP decision wasn't just about the playoffs. It was about narrative, and it was about how team success often outweighs individual brilliance. And in that sense, SGA's MVP win made sense. Why did SGA win the MVP over Jokic? One word: narrative. Voters were tired of giving the same player the MVP year after year, no matter how good he was. While Jokic was undeniably the better individual player on paper, it was time for something new. SGA represented that change. His scoring ability, his impact on his team, and the fact that he was leading a young team to heights they hadn't seen in years made him the perfect candidate for MVP. Not to mention, SGA's Thunder were simply more fun to watch. The team played with energy and excitement, and it wasn't just about SGA. His teammates stepped up. This wasn't a one-man show. This was a team effort. The MVP voters recognized this, and that's why they handed the award to SGA, the face of the next era of NBA greatness.
But you led this team to the best record in the NBA, the most wins in franchise history. Congratulations. You are the NBA Kia MVP.
What does this MVP win mean for SGA's future and the Thunder's future? The sky's the limit. SGA's MVP win marks the beginning of a dynasty. He is the cornerstone of what could be a 5-year run of dominance for Oklahoma City. The Thunder's roster is packed with young talent, and with SGA leading the charge, there's no reason they can't rack up 65-70 wins per season for the next half-decade. If SGA stays healthy and continues to improve, he could be in the conversation for multiple MVPs in the years to come. The real question is, can the Thunder build a dynasty? With a deep roster and a player like SGA, they certainly have the pieces to do so. In the next few seasons, it's very possible that the Thunder will be at the top of the league, competing for titles year after year. In the end, the SGA era has officially begun, and this MVP is just the start of something even bigger. As the Thunder continue to rise, so too will SGA's legacy. Who knows what's next? Could this be the start of a Thunder dynasty that dominates the NBA for years to come? Or will we look back at this moment as the time when Shai Gilgeous-Alexander finally took the crown and began rewriting the narrative of the NBA? One thing is for sure, the future of the NBA is looking brighter than ever with SGA leading the way.